Today we're going to be talking about the Aventure version 1 and comparing it with the Aventure version 2. Now, if you combine these bikes, this has been our best-selling bike in the entire shop for the last 3 months straight, to the point where we're still moving version 1s, even though the version 2 has been out for several months. So let's talk about some of the changes. Is it all just kind of hype and cosmetic changes, or are there some valuable changes from the version 1 to the version 2 of this bike? So from the Aventure 1 to the Aventure 2, the biggest change right out of the gate is the torque sensor. Now, what a torque sensor does is it basically makes your pedaling a lot more responsive. If I'm pedaling harder on the e-bike, the motor's going to give me more assistance. If I'm pedaling lighter, it's going to give me less assistance. On the version 1, this is something that the bike didn't have. It was something that maybe made the bike feel a little bit clunky at times. Maybe you got a half turn on your pedals by accident and all of a sudden the motor was kind of shooting you forward. With the version 2, you get a lot more responsiveness just from that torque sensor. Another big change that we've seen on the version 2 is that it actually has brake lights on both sides as well as blinkers. The version 1 only had the brake light on one side and it didn't have any blinkers at all. The blinkers are obviously a nice touch if you're going to do any city riding, maybe around a campground with a couple quads or dirt bikes going around. Just a nice way to communicate to people out there on the trails. The Aventure 2 has also come with a big update to that rear rack. Traditionally on the version 1, you had to pay for an external rack and it was about $60 to get one installed. On the version 2, it actually comes with the bike, and personally, I like the Aventure 2 rack way more than I like the Aventure 1 rack. It's less clunky, it's easier to install, and it has a really nice finish. Now, as far as componentry goes, the Aventure 2 has some awesome upgrades. Now, on the version 1 of the Aventure, they had these zoom brakes, and I've talked about it before, but these are not my favorite brakes. With the version 2, though, they've updated those brakes to be Tektro mineral oil brakes, and really these are great brakes. On top of that, the actual forks on each bike are supposed to be pretty similar. They both have 80 millimeters of travel, but in my experience riding these bikes, the actual suspension on the version 2 feels just a little bit better than the version 1 does. When you look at the actual display on the bikes, the version 1 had 5 levels of pedal assist, just noted by numbers 1 through 5. On the version 2, they've changed that to 4 levels, noted by words. They've also hidden a menu in the version 2 that you can connect your phone to your bike to get more functionality. Now, obviously, it's great that the Aventure 2 has all of this new technology, all of these new changes, but let me return to the first question that I asked, which is, can the Aventure 1 still compete with the Aventure 2? Is it really worth spending more money for the Aventure 2? And here's what I'll say. When the Aventure 1 came out, it kind of invented the wheel for what a fat tire e-bike could be. It was very ahead of its time. With the Aventure 2, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, what we've seen is a sort of refinement of what already works. So, if you can find a version 2 for a reasonable price, I definitely recommend it. It's more responsive and it's a better version than the version 1. But the version 1 is still a great e-bike on its own, so if you can get a stellar deal on an Aventure 1, it is still a great bike to own.